Yeah, I'd generally go two or three.
Yeah. All right. Firstly, we're heading into turn one. Obviously, we'll get the run up from all the way at the back of the last corner. But coming in as we brake, my braking point here is right as the sign changes from the Audi to the ice brake. That from that white to white to black. Once that disappears, then we're on the brakes down from I think fourth all the way to second. And you want to get off the brakes probably by about this point, tip it in, and on the throttle by here, coast it all the way out, and get up onto the curb. Hell Corner is known to be a very what's
Hellish.
yeah, the name suits it. It's a lot of it is a gamble, whether you get it right or you get it wrong. It very commonly can change very quickly in what you should be doing mentally. I'll run over my mental checklist when I'm in the replay tonight. But just for now, I just wanted to do my main sort of visual points. So, visual point into here. Braking is at the end of this road on the left here. So we'll be hitting the brakes here. Hard on the brakes, only down to third gear. All cars, I think, other than the Mustang, will be holding third. And you want to get to the inside as early as you can and hold you in on the camber, as there's a lot of camber here. So the closer you stay to the curb, the better. If you do come on this inside curb though, it does slow you down a little bit and binds the car up as you're trying to release off the corner. So staying as close as you can to that curb without getting on it will give you the best release out on the run to the cutting. Obviously use all the road all the way up to the wall and then shooting back over to the right, coming all the way up against the wall. Where that gap is just there, that's where my point is to turn in, get close to this inside wall, don't hit the inside wall. And now this can be very tricky with finding an actual braking point. I'll go back a little bit. And the thing here that a lot of people use is like shadows or a rubber mark or something like that, which yes can help, but I mean I fall into the trap of not using a physical thing here too, but I actually use these grazers on the wall. So see how just it's all the way on the bottom right now, but in between my wiper and that there's that mark on the wall. Those are actually what I look at. So in between the one that's just here on the right and the one that's all the way up here, just there, I'm actually braking in between there. So it's about the tree, basically, the big tree on the right here. Actually, I think I can go F7 here. I can. It's about this tree as it sticks out. So it's in between these two scratch marks. But yeah, that's what I look for coming into the cutting, which I'll point out on the replay, but it's about here. And then I'm still pointing out towards the right because you still want to come out to the right down to second and then feed it in, carry the speed. You can carry more speed here than what you think because it's uphill and the camber will hold you into the corner and you can probably apply the throttle probably back a little bit. Probably just as you start to reach the peak of the hill. I just stalled. Probably about here is where you can start getting on the power and run it all the way out to the side. By this point here is where I would turn my TC off when I'm looking for those last couple tenths. But everyone else can keep it on. It gives you bugger all. Now, some cars like this curb, so the Beamer actually likes when you clip this inside curb a little bit. Some cars hate it and will kill you. That's sort of just something you have to figure out yourself, unfortunately, as some cars just don't like it. Some cars love it. The Beamer, you can hit it and it's really nice, and it holds the car in. Starting to head up the hill now. Now, our turn-in point for here, this corner should be flat every time. Unless you have high damage or some crazy tyre wear. Your turn-in point is as this tree disappears. So that'll be the turn-in point there. Get up against the curb. And then run it all the way out, go up against the wall. And then we're already pointing out towards the right-hand side of the track. Start to dip it in. Aiming at the grate, but not hitting the grate. And then, again, this... For most of our experienced guys, this should be flat. In the Beamer, this is pretty easily flat. This one, some cars
flat through there as well.
Yeah, all cars should be flat, but it can be a struggle depending on line in other cars. I know the McLaren is very, very borderline. Yeah,
you can do it easy in the Macca.
You can. Yeah, it all depends on line, really.
Just don't touch the inside curb in the Macca because it will spit your out.
Exactly. Really, any car you don't want to be touching the inside curb here, as it's just going to pick you up and throw you to the right, which is in the wall. But yeah, should be flat, can be flat in every car, depending on your line. So if it's not flat and you're trying to be, then I'll show you what line I take when we head into the replay. All the way up against the wall before you have the run to McPhillamy. Now, McPhillamy can be really tricky and it's quite deceiving because a lot of people believe that once you get to the top of the crest is when you start lifting off or do whatever you need to. That's wrong because as we're at the top of the crest, it's when the weight on the car is its least. We actually want to, and for me it's just a slight lift, so for the Beamer it's only like a half lift, is before the crest, so just before we go up on top of the hill. So it'll probably be about this first Pertex sign, or basically the Marshall post. It'll be just a slight lift. Most cars are basically a full lift. And then basically try and stay out wide for as long as you can before you shoot it in. Don't touch this inside curb as there's a really bad bump, probably I think right about here, which will just bounce you straight out all the way out into the wall. Similar thing with this exit curb. If you hit this exit curb at speed at a weird angle, it can very easily shoot you straight into this inside wall. Don't know why it does that, but it can do that, so be very wary of when you hit that outside curb. And now we head into Skyline. So some people have mixed... I see a lot of people with different lines in here. For me, I like to stay to the left, get the normal racing line. I know I've seen some fast guys still stay to the middle of the track, to the right-hand side of the track. Don't know how much that works. This is just always what I've done. Obviously,
I can't take your line through here or I end up in the wall. I've got to stay mid-track.
Yeah. Some cars will be like that because it all depends on how your car comes over the crest and settles over the crest. And it also depends on how much brake you have coming over the crest. So on a fast lap, I will lift and have a little tap of, like a little, if you look on the bottom, I probably have about that much brake on. Just a tiny little bit of brake, which all it does is just settle the rear a little bit and settle the car as it comes over the crest. Now, most other cars, you will not be able to have brake on over the crest because it's just going to swing the rear out and it's just going to kill you no matter what you do. So you can't be full brake coming over the crest. Some cars you won't be able to touch the brake at all because it's just going to spin you around. It's just going to kill you. So what I have done ever since recently is when I'm coming up to Skyline, right where that J car sign on the right, this last logo just here, right as I pass that, that'll be where I'll hit the brakes right before I get to the crest. Don't touch anything as I come over the crest. Get to the inside, brake more down here, then obviously get to the inside, brake more, brake, keep braking all the way down to second, and then get it tucked in all the way on the inside, staying really tight, and then having a flick to the left, and then obviously hitting the dipper. Now, something I was taught a long time ago... Oh, nice. That puts a spanner in the works. Alright, okay, I'm back now. Yeah, so you want to stay as close to the wall on the right-hand side here as you can before you... Now, I like to tap the brake a little bit just to settle the car, slow the car down a little bit. I know some of the real fast guys don't, and they just flick it in, but just a tiny little brake, just a quick stab. So on the bottom right, it'll just be about that much. Like that's, I'm pretty sure, basically all I take, not even. Now, as you flick into the left here, I was always told that if it looks like you're going to hit the wall, that's when you've done it right. Because it's always really deceiving as you come down the hill how much you can actually cut the inside. So even though here it looks like I'm going to hit the wall, if I just roll forward, I'm not going to hit the wall at all. So that's, you'll see it in the hot lap, but it looks like I'm going to hit the wall until I suddenly don't. But that's something you're going to have to experiment with your car, and your feeling and your POV and your sort of stuff. But it's going to feel like you're going to hit the wall. And when right as you think, oh shit, I'm going to hit the wall, don't turn out of it. Like, don't turn back to the right. Just stay in it. See whether you hit the wall. And if you don't, then you know you've nailed it and you've got your spot. And you've got your feeling. And that's what you've got to try and keep repeating and repeating and repeating. Now, as you drop down the hill, a lot of people skip over this part. But this curb on the inside, in most cars, can be deadly. In cars like the BMW and the Merc, you can take it really nice. I know the Macca hates that part, like that little curb on the inside there. So just be very wary when you're going over that curb, as it can slide the rear out. It can just kill you. It'll bounce you. It'll do whatever. But yeah, it can kill you. So that's just another point to be very wary of. Now on the run to one of my probably least favourite track corners on this track. Unfortunately, though, still an amazing corner. Probably one of my least favourite. Actually, no, that's Hull Corner. Second least favourite. Is Forest Elbow. So obviously staying as far to the left on the wall as you can. Some cars, it's better to have a little bit of a brake here. Just a little sniff, maybe a half brake. And then as you come around the corner, come back off the brake as you come over the crest. So this is another thing where you can brake on the crest if you don't brake much. Because again, if you brake while you're on this crest, then it's just going to kill you. So I like to go off the Bentley signs actually. So see how it goes, Bentley 100 Bentley. So this second Bentley sign at this 100, once I get to that point, that's when I'm on the brakes. As I know now, I'm pointing downhill. I'm no longer on the crest and the car's settled, so I can jump on the brakes and head down the hill. Now, how late you end up into the corner here depends obviously on your speed coming in. So if you can't brake that by that point, by probably the earliest by the 100, maybe a little bit, probably about here probably would be the earliest, then take a little bit more speed off before that little fast corner, as I said back there. Have a little bit more of a brake there, settle the car, come around the corner, then have a nice straight braking zone down this hill, so you don't lock your tyres, you don't ruin your tyres, and you'll set yourself up nicely into the elbow. Now, another point that a lot of people get wrong is that you want to actually stay out to the right here. Now, this sounds counterintuitive, but for whatever reason, every person that I've spoken to has said you want to come down to the inside of the track and shorten the distance. And then basically once you hit this 100 sign on the left, on the inside wall, that's when you're planting your foot and you're just running it all the way out to the outside wall. So your braking should actually be pointed towards the inside of the apex, Not drastically, but you should be slowly trailing down into the inside of the apex, which again I'll show you in further detail in the hot lap.
One thing I found in the Fez, and I don't know if it's a Fez specific thing, but I found that if you just brake like you normally do and just bam on 100%, the ABS kicked in way too much.
Mm-hmm. And you just go straight on.
Yeah, it felt like I had to brake at like 80% down through forest.
Going through Forest Solo in the Fez, just before you come off that little crest, I'm knocking it down to third and letting the engine brake it over the crest, and then jumping down to second when I need to.
Yeah.
So is that like most cars you can just brake like you normally do an ACC then? Is it just a Fez issue?
You'll be, I think, I don't brake full, but you can, I think, if you do what I was sort of talking about with, as long as you're not on the crest, like the top of the hill, then yes, I'd say so. But yeah, that'll be, I don't actually know. The braking into there for me is very muscle memory at this point. I'll come back to that. I'll look in the replay and see what I did. Obviously, the actual chase itself behind me now is flat. We should be flat all the way down this hill. Now, this is probably going to be the biggest or the funniest part of this. Is my braking point into here is actually a patch of grass. As it's notorious for these braking zones to get taken out they get taken out all the time. I'll be absolutely not surprised if they get taken out on next Friday. Now, my point, let's go on F7 here. Oh, let's slow it down a little bit. All right, so my point, look, I can already see it from here because once you see it, I can see it all the time now, no matter where I go, what car I'm in. But it's actually just this little patch of dead grass here. So it's this patch here, which, yeah, it's got it can be hard to spot, but once you've seen it once in the car, then for me anyway, it's hard to not see. I mean, I would draw on the it's like right here, if that kind of helps. I don't know whether you can see my cursor in the Discord stream or not.
No, I can't see it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't really know how else to point it out. It's this part anyway. It's this dead patch of grass. Yeah, I know there's a light one before it, and then there's the actual one. But for me, it's easier to see from the actual car than it is. Like, I don't know what it is, whether it's me or whether it's actually just that easy to see, but that's it there. This is where I'll be hitting the brakes. Or other cars will be just before it, some cars will be on it, some cars will be after it even. The Mustang. But yeah, that's your reference, and then I go, it's probably about here really, my braking point. Now, the Beamer into the chase is actually third. Every other car that I know of will be second. I don't think there's any car first. I don't think the Mustang even uses first. But yeah, the Beamer will be third. Yeah, and it's all about just getting as close as you can to this inside curb without hitting it. Yeah, so you really just want to sniff it just a tiny bit and then head on out. And basically you should be meeting this inside curb about here. And then you'll just follow this inside curb, hopefully without touching the inside grass, all the way around. And then obviously all the way out to the left-hand side of the track. Before we have the run down of the last corner. Now, the last corner is quite nice with braking zones, as there's a lot of different things you can use. You can use the 100 board, or for me, I use the second grid box. So that's the first, that's the second. So this is where I'll be hitting my brakes. But if we're tucked up behind someone, as I know that it can be nearly impossible to see where the grid box is with a car in front of you. You can use those mulga signs on the side. So right as this first one disappears, that's when you can hit the brakes. Wrong button. So right as that one disappears, which will be about there, right as you get onto the second one, you can experiment with the first or second, but it's about that point. Slam down the brakes, down into second. Some cars are first. Tip it in, sniff the inside curb, don't hit it, and get a nice run out to the line. Use the exit curb before we cross the line. Now I'll quickly jump in to a replay. I think it was this one. I think it was this lap. Yep, it was this lap. Okay. So this is a 1:59.4. This is the one that I've done on Sim League. I'll just do a very quick talk through. So hitting the brakes at this merge point of the barrier, down into second, off the brake, clipped the inside curb a little bit and had a little bit of a slide there. You don't want to do that, but it didn't cost me too much in the end. I still probably have about a 10th in this first sector. Now on the run up Mountain Straight, don't shift into 6th. It actually slows you down for whatever reason. Stay in 5th. Engine braking's better. Blah, blah, blah. Just hold 5th. Other cars, I think the Mustang will be 4th because of that weird thing. But stay in the high revs. Don't shift up right towards the end. And you'll be good. Braking at the end of the road. Down to 3rd. Tip it in. On the gas real early. Don't need to hold the brakes very long. All the way out to the left-hand side. Back to the right. There's the gap. Inside. Tree. Down to 2nd. Coming in. Not touching anything yet. Still not touching anything. Using the camber to help us around the corner. Now we're on the power. Feed it out. There's my TC change. I'll just point that out. It's just before this crest. And there's my turning point, the tree. Hold the inside. We stay flat all the way till McPhillamy. Hit the grate. Not the curb. Half lift before the crest. Back on it. Clipped a little bit of that inside curb. Not braking over the crest. Now we're hitting the brakes down. 3, 2, back to the right. Flicking. Clip that a little bit. And run down to Forest Elbow. Missed the apex a tad, but that's alright. And now with a long run.
100% brake.
I did or didn't?
Like, touched it for a millisecond.
Yeah. Because you can hear, if you listen very carefully, you can hear the brakes have that slight little lock up. It's not a full lock up, but it's right on the edge of it. So probably once I've heard the brakes start to chatter and the tyres chatter, that's probably when I heard it there, and that's probably where I've started to wind off a little bit. That's probably what I've done there. Actually, what I will do, I turn my TC back on just after McPhillamy. So here, this is where I turn the TC on. There it is, for the run down the hill. And I'll go back a little bit so you can see this bit. There's my braking. So that's my patch there. I've actually broke quite early here. But that's my patch just on the right there. The recording, you can see it. I know Discord stream can't. But that's the braking point there. Hold 3rd, tip it in. Just miss the curb on the inside, back to the outside. Hit my grid boxes, turn it in, and that is a 1:59.4. Looks easy peasy, simple lemon squeezy. I'll run this through at full speed for you guys to have a look at before we head into questions. But yeah.
just mental over the top of the mountain. Down skyline. It's PTSD just watching it.
Yeah, it's... My middle sector for this lap in particular was pretty crazy.
And just sit a second off Brady.
Ouch.
I've watched some of him when I've killed myself on fruit bowl races before, and it is just mental.
Yeah. His 58.3 is done without bop, though. I will say that as an excuse in an unbopped Mustang.
Knowing that you're happy with your middle sector makes me happy with mine. I'm only 0.6 off you over the top.
Yeah, that's good then. Yeah, I honestly don't know what other than that jump there, I don't really know what else I would do much better down the hill or through the middle sector.
I need to brake earlier coming in here. That's where I'm making the mistake. Or at least get in a second earlier.
Yeah.
You said you braked a bit early for that corner, for the chase. Do you reckon you could have actually braked any later? You look like you're carrying pretty good speed.
Yes, I reckon so, because it a lot of it, for me anyway, around Bathurst, just for, yeah, anyway, that's a lot. A lot of the point is, a lot of my mental goes off my delta on quali laps. So by this point, I think I was seeing, I don't know, I think I was seeing 2.5 tenths up on a 59.8 or something, 59.7. And I have a big, just hatred for the chase when I'm on good laps, because I always seem to smash the inside curb, or I don't know, just do something stupid where I mess the lap up or something goes wrong. So coming into the chase, I'm always quite nervous, or like so what would be the word? I don't know.
Apprehensive.
Yeah, apprehensive to get it right. So that would probably be the cause for that, because I want to make sure I get the car slowed down, I get it into the corner, because I'd rather be 5 meters early and come off the brake here instead of come off the brake my usual point, which would be there. Still carry the same amount of speed, but make sure I get the car stopped in time for the corner. It just so happened that I got it stopped really nicely to the point where I could just turn straight in. On other laps, and I'm sure there's plenty of other laps in here where I did it, I was braking like here, and I was getting it stopped fine. It all depends on your braking efficiency, really. But yes, I can brake later with my mental down into the chase on a really good lap. That can change. But yeah, I thought I should leave that little bit in the recording, because I know I do it a lot. And I'll wait for this little thing on the bottom right to show up. Here it is. Go wait. Oh my god, I've done it again. There you go. Bottom right, a 1:59. Oh, it's just left. Nice. A 1:59.460. Was that hot lap? So yeah, that does us for tonight, and I'm.
Is that a PB?
To ask questions? Yeah. No. Yes. No. If I'm counting an unbopped Mustang, no. With bop, yes, that's a PB, because an unbopped Mustang around Bathurst is a joke.